Hey there, this is Martin from More Niche, and we've got a training session today of fixing the core web vitals. And a minute or so for people to join in. There's a 30-second delay, but yeah, hopefully people will join us very soon. Apologies if I do suddenly mute myself. I've still got a bit of a persistent cough. So that does come up sometimes. So I might have to just mute myself. Cannot believe that it's been a week already since the last training session. So hopefully you found last week's good. If you didn't get a chance to see it, obviously go to the YouTube channel and check out the previous live streams. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz, so you know when another video is up. So today we're going to go through the core web vitals and how we can potentially look at getting good scores for those ready for the update in June. And my apologies if I completely change what they are, whether it's going to be core web vitals, web core vitals, or even web core values is what I originally set this training session as. I have no idea what was going on in my brain when I wrote that. But yeah, it's obviously web core values, core web values, vitals. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So yeah, we're going to go through that today. And something to point out is that I'm not, the most technical person in the world. A lot of stuff just confuses the absolute hell out of me. So a lot of what I'm going to go through is more of the non-technical stuff that you can do to obviously improve the core web vitals. So a lot of the technical stuff, I don't think you need it, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, if you've got any comments or questions, please do put them in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions throughout the training and obviously at the end of the training. Now with this session, obviously it's all about the core web vitals, but it's going to be touching on the overall speed of the site. The way that the site loads, how fast it loads, and the core vitals. It's all interlinked. It's all the same thing. So a lot of the stuff that I'll go through is just going to help improve the overall speed of your website. Now, a lot of people are potentially, wondering when this update comes, it's going to actually have a massive impact on your website and the ranking of your website. And to be completely honest, I don't think it will. I don't think we'll suddenly see sites losing rankings or gaining rankings just because of the core web vitals. I think it's more likely going to be a case of, if you've got a site, if your site is position 2 or 3, and you've got a site that's position 1, and your backlink profile is the same, your on page is pretty much the same, it's all on point, then it might be one of those things that just swings that needle to help you rank above them. I don't think you're going to rank just because you've got good web core values, vitals. So I don't necessarily need to worry too much about that. Now, it's always going to be links and content that's going to help a site rank with authority. Now, it does help in terms of user experience. And if you've got a good website that a good website that is fast, it's easily accessible, it's got a good user experience, and it answers the person's question, and they stay on the website and then click through to another page, that is going to be a good sign to Google, which is going to help your site rank higher. And then on the flip side, if you've got a website that doesn't load very quickly, and somebody could come land on it and it take a good 10 seconds to load, they're more than likely just going to click the back button, go back to the SERPs, and that's going to look as a negative view of your site and ranking for that keyword. So that could actually impact your search results, so your rankings. So getting your core web vitals right is going to, indirectly potentially help with your rankings. And one thing I would recommend is that when it comes to page speed and the actual core web vitals, is not to chase that 100 score. It's nice to have that score, but don't chase it. You know, there's so many things that it can take such a long time to try and get those top scores that you just don't need them. You know, as long as you can get them green, you know, you're good. I would personally spend a lot more of my efforts and a lot more of my time to focus on actually getting more content on the site, getting more backlinks, and actually building the authority of it up, rather than spending days, weeks, months trying to get this perfect score, because it just doesn't happen. So let's share my screen, because what I'm going to do is go through how to actually find the web core vitals, and then I'm going to go through some of the fixes, so some of the things that people experience more, the issues that people get, and then just go through some, you know, some examples that I've got. Make sure you stick to the end, because I've got a something at the end, an offer at the end. So yeah, let's share my screen. So here we have the actual core web vitals for one of the sites that I've got. Obviously, it's a decent score. This is using Lighthouse, so you can access Lighthouse through the Google Search Console. But to be honest, I don't always find that the report is massively accurate. You can also use a Chrome extension, Web Vitals, but that doesn't give you a lot of in-depth information. And then you can also use this Lighthouse through actual Google Chrome. GTmetrix does give you some information on the core Web Vitals as well. So both of those would be what I would definitely recommend. And you get to this by basically going to the website or the web page that you're wanting to look at, right-clicking, hit inspect. In fact, I'll do that now. So if we go here, you just right-click, press, I don't know if you can see the right-click, but you press inspect, and then this comes up, and then you can click these arrows here. Let me move this actually. Let me get rid of this overlay so you can actually see it better. So we just click on these arrows, which you can't see as well for some reason. And there's one called Lighthouse, but this basically takes us to the Lighthouse report. And this is why you shouldn't necessarily worry about chasing that 100, because, you know, before it was 97, 100, 100, 100. There's a good chance that if I hit generate report now, it will generate that report, and it will be a little bit different because it does fluctuate from time to time. So I'm going to hit generate, and this now is basically just going through this page and just getting a report based on the, you know, the criteria. It's important that when you do use this and you use Lighthouse, it's important that you do it in incognito mode, just because if you do it in non-incognito mode, then it's going to be taking all of your browser extensions into consideration. So that's going to slow it down straight away. So by doing it in incognito, it will turn those browser extensions off, which means you're going to get more of an accurate impression of the actual results. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same. It's gone up 1 point, which is interesting because I haven't done anything. So these are kind of, you know, really good scores. The site itself is very small. There's not much content on that site at all. There's around about 5 or 6 articles, so it's not a big site at all, and that's why you'll find that the scores are relatively, you know, relatively low. But it does have a lot of plugins on there to help. So it's got, you know, WP Rocket, it's got image optimization, so that's helping. But it's not a exact, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about trying to obtain these scores if you've got a big site. Like I say, this has got 5 pieces of content on there. So we've got a couple of examples. We've got this one, which has got obviously lower on the accessibility, and then we have this one, which is low on best practices and performances, and also this one, which is low on best practices. So as you notice, SEO is top on them all, which I would expect a lot of people to actually get, because, you know, most people know their SEO. But there's, you know, it tells you certain things if you don't have it, so you can actually see quite good information on what, you know, best practices and what you need to actually do to improve on those scores. Let me just call back to the chat just to make sure I'm not missing any questions. Like I say, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask away. So I'll go through some quick wins first of all. So if we go on to SEO, like I say, most people have this at 100 or really high scores. And this is actually split into 3 different categories. So you've got 3 different things here. You've got Google's ability at understanding the content. You've got crawlability and whether or not it's mobile friendly. So as long as you've got things like your title tag, your meta description, then it's going to be fairly high on here for that. As long as Google can crawl it, which you'd hope they can, then that's going to pass that. And then obviously making sure it's mobile friendly. Obviously, most themes nowadays are going to be mobile friendly, so just make sure that yours is that you're using. Now, the common places where people tend to fail on here is links have descriptive text. So, you know, previously, if you've got a button, which is just click here, then that's not very descriptive. It's not basically telling the crawl bar or your visitor what that button is doing, what that link is doing. So you can improve on that by just putting something like click here for the latest pricing, and that should solve that problem. When it comes to the crawlability, just making sure that you've got the robot text file there and that the page and whole site can be crawled, and then that's obviously not going to be an issue. And one of the issues that we see is that links are not crawlable, but that's normally if you have, you know, a Wix site, or, you know, it doesn't tend to happen if you have a HTML site, for example, and you're not set up the linking correctly, then that'll be where that fails. But this doesn't tend to happen with WordPress unless, you know, you've done a no follow tag and whatnot. Mobile side of things, again, as long as the site is mobile friendly, then it should work fine. One area where people might get issues with the mobile friendly side of it is whether or not you're using page builders. Sometimes if you use a page builder, you can put the links, the buttons too close together. There's not enough padding. So just increasing that padding can solve that problem. So yeah, those are typically the most common issues. But like I say, most of the time SEO is going to be up high, and this is not really a major factor when it comes to obviously the core web vitals or your page speed. It's just you know, good practice to have that as high as possible. You obviously want your, you know, you want your SEO to be on point. The next one that I tend to look at is accessibility, and what this basically does is it determines how accessible the website is for people. And, you know, Google, they want everybody to be able to access your website regardless of their you know, physical ability, mental ability. You know, if someone's blind, they should still be able to access your website. If someone's got any kind of disability, they should still be able to access your website. So this is going to become, I think, more and more important. You know, trying to allow everyone to actually get the best results from the websites that they visit. So yeah, definitely something that is important. And you can actually fail on quite a few things on here and still be green, because it's not highly important. It's not to do with the speed. It's not necessarily to do with the core web vitals, but it's still, you know, it's still important. It's user experience at the end of the day. So I would definitely look at finding ways that you can improve the actual accessibility. Now you can see that I've got a few issues here, and these are probably some of the most common issues that people have. Particularly these two. And this is basically the contrasting of the background colors and the foreground colors. So if we click on here, we can see an example. So typically there's quite a lot on this page. A lot of the time is going to be buttons. This impacts buttons quite a lot. But if we look at this one, so this is basically saying this bit here, what it's saying is that the background color and the color of the text isn't isn't a very good contrast. So it's basically saying that they don't match very well. So what you can do is, I'll do that now, is, can't remember what color this one is. So let me log into that site just so I can find out. I should have had this open already. I'm sure I did. So let's get this site, this page opened. And then we can just see what color that is, just so that we can make sure that we can find them. So let me pull up. Again, this is obviously only a small site. So let's have a look. Just move on. Okay, so let's pull this up here. That one there. Come on. Here we go. Advanced background. So we've got the background color here. There's a really good tool called app.contrast-finder.org. I'll put a link in the comments, the comments afterwards. And you basically just put in the background color here, put in the foreground color. Now it should leave the text color or whatever is at the front. Now it should be, yep, it's standard white. And then we can put that in there like so. And it will show as a ratio here. And at the moment we can see it's 3.52. So in order for it to pass that that condition in the, where are we? This one, in order for it to pass this, it needs to be a ratio of 4.5 or higher, just because then that way it allows people to easily see it better. So what we're going to do is the color we want to edit is going to be the background color, because we want the text to be white. So we're going to edit the background color, and valid colors very close. So this is going to basically give us a minimum ratio of 4.5. It's only going to edit the background color, and it's going to give us results that are very close to this color. So if we hit find valid colors, and we can see here, so there's very little difference. This is a 3.5, so this is what we've got currently, and this is 4.5001. So literally right on the amount. So what I'm going to do is copy this, and I'm going to, not that one, so many tabs. I'm going to change the background color to this one that I've just got, like so. And then we're going to update that. And you'll also notice that on here, a lot of the issues is with the text, and that's because it's a white background and the text is more of a gray color. And that can make it a little bit harder for people to read. So I'm just going to quickly change that now as well, just so that we can see a bigger difference in Lighthouse. So I'm going to just go change global colors, and we're going to change that to black. And then we're going to update. So straight away, that's changed that to the darker version. You can see you can see the text a lot better straight away. So then if I come back here and I'm going to do a new report, you can see I've done quite a few already. New report, generate report. And that's just going to quickly go through that report again, just so that we can see those changes have been made. It shouldn't take a minute. Here we go. So if we go back down to accessibility, and we can see that there's obviously still issues with the buttons and some of the content, but you can see that those original ones have all gone. So with this background, the actual text have all gone. So there's a lot less here to work through. So once I've updated these and basically just replicated what I've just done, then that'll fix those, and that'll sort that one out. So that's one of the main issues that a lot of people get, because the colors that you might see work really well might not work great for somebody else. people have got different, the seed colors differently. If someone's got a, the seed colors differently, colorblind, it can be different for different people. So it's definitely worth looking at. Now, another one that people see often is navigation, and this is basically where the heading elements are not in sequential order. So this is when you've got things like you've got H1, H2, H3, H4, but if you have a H3 instead of H2, so you've got a H2, H3, H2, or it doesn't, you've got a H4 instead of a H3. So if it goes, say, H2, H4, H2, so it skips the H3, then this can cause this error. And a lot of the times it is table of contents. So we can see here that my table of contents, wherever it's gone, it's going to be at the bottom, into typical, because we're on mobile. No, it's not there. Well, wherever it is, here we go. So this is a H4. So we have a H2 here, or a H3 here. No, that'll be a H2. So we have a H2 here, and then we've got a H4, and then a H2. So that basically just needs updating to be a H3, and then that won't be a problem. So if you've got that, just look at the way your heading structure is, and just fix your heading structure. Next, we have links don't have any associable names. So this is basically just alt tags. Again, this is very common. People don't tend to have alt tags for logos and things like that, just like me. So yeah, just get an alt tag on there, and that will fix this straight up. Alt tags are important, not just for the SEO benefit, but for accessibility. If someone's on there and they're using a page reader where it's actually reading out the content to them, it's going to read out that alt text. So you want it to be able to, it to be understandable and relevant. So yeah, those are the main ones in accessibility. And like I said, not a major thing, but definitely worth getting to the green. And this one is quite easy to get to the green. It's generally not that complicated to get this one to 100%. As you can see, there's just a few fixes on mine, and that'll get that to 100%. The next thing we want to look at is best practices. And these ones tend to be fairly easy to fix and quick to fix. So we've got a couple here. Do not use HTTPS. So this is basically where I've got my profile image here, and it's using HTTP and not HTTPS version. This can be quite common. So again, just go in and update the HTTP image to the HTTPS, and that works fine. Now, if you've got, what will happen sometimes, you might have other issues. So if you've got images that are not showing the correct dimensions, then they may appear here. So you just need to update the dimensions. One here is the links. So it's just recommending that you add no opener or no referrer rel tag to your images, just to make it safer, and that will fix that one straight up as well. And then if you're using plugins or themes plugins that are out of date, then they might be using a JavaScript version that is that's got security vulnerabilities. So you just need to make sure your plugins and your themes are up to date, and that'll work fine. So yeah, that'll fix those up quite quickly. And again, it's not hard to get that up to green. Now the biggest one is performance. This is really where we get into the Cold Web Vitals. So this is going to be what impacts the first contentful paint. It's going to be what impacts the cumulative shift and the largest contentful paint. I mean, it doesn't really do the layout shift. That's basically when you've got text that moves in different places. So generally that's caused by display ads or lead captures. So as long as your text doesn't move too much, then that should always be low. I think I haven't seen a site where that's quite high, so that should, you should find that one quite low pretty much most of the time. So here we have, these are the things that are going to, like I say, directly impact more with this. And a lot of this, to be honest, can be solved without worrying about all of this junk. There's a lot of stuff here which is over technical and over confusing. the initial server response time, a lot of that is going to be down to your host. You know, if you've got a low cost host or you're on shared hosting, then your server response time might be higher because you're sharing it with so many people and it's a lower cost hosting. If you're at the stage where you're earning a decent revenue from your affiliate stuff, then I would definitely recommend upgrading to a more premium hosting such as WPX, WP Engine, things like that, because they're going to be, you know, they tend to have a lot better hosting services and a lot better speed. I'm with WPX myself, and I've not had any, you know, any issues with the load time with that at all. So what you want to do with improving the largest contentful stuff, the largest contentful paint here, and this isn't necessarily how long it takes for your entire page to load. This is more how long it takes for the first divvy to load. So this is the stuff that is above the fold. So the more you've got going on above the fold, the actual slower this is going to be. So it's going to be things like, you know, I've got my hero image here. It's going to be my text. Obviously, this is on the mobile view, so you can't see it as well. So if we come out of here, it's taking too long to load. So it's basically going to be, you know, this stuff along here. So it's going to be hero image, header tag, this text, this, and potentially if you've got some images as well. So it's everything that is above the fold and within that first divvy tag. So there's a few things that we can do to improve on that. Obviously, for me, I have this big hero image, which is going to slow it down. You know, I've optimized that image as much as possible, but it will slow it down. So you just need to make sure, if you know, decide whether or not you actually need that hero image there, or if you can have an image further down. So what you want to do is make sure that all of your images are optimized. So making sure they are the correct sizes when you upload them. So don't have a 2000 by 2000 image uploaded and then you're only displaying it at 500 pixels. If you're only going to display it at 500 pixels, then edit it before you upload it. Make sure it's 500 pixels before you upload it. And then you just want to optimize the file size on there as well. So do some compression, get it compressed, get it optimized, and then you'll find it a lot quicker. I currently use Imagify for my image optimization. It optimizes them as I upload them, and that does help. What I would recommend is, and what I'm going to start doing, and just to test it out, is I'm going to remove Imagify and actually do the optimization on my images before I upload them. And the main reason behind that is that the plugin works great. You know, it does optimize the images really well, but it's just an extra plugin that my site has. If I can just optimize them before I upload them, then it reduces the plugins on my site, which reduces the requests, which may help to speed that up, because there are some plugins which do impact the actual speed of the site. So yeah, so you want to make sure images are always optimized. Reduce the third-party scripts. So I've got an example, I believe. Where are we? So here we are. We've got scripts that I've got on. So I've got my Google Analytics tag. I've got the site verification for Google Analytics. Excuse me. I've got the Facebook pixel code. So a lot of this you can actually have. I think I've got another one somewhere. It's Elementor. Yeah, so we've got another Google Analytics. So I've actually got Google Analytics twice, which isn't great. So if you're using an SEO plugin, you know, there are plugins that allow you to actually put this code in there. So I've started testing out Rank Math, and I'm pretty sure you can actually add in the analytics there. So you can actually remove this from here. So if I pull up, I think it's this site, and where are the tags? So I think it is, here we go, unused JavaScript. So we have Google Tag Manager, and Facebook ads. And this is basically the pixel. And you may, you know, some of these you're going to want to keep. You're going to want to keep the Facebook pixel. because if you're doing ads, you're collecting pixel data, then you're going to want to keep that. So I wouldn't worry about getting rid of all of these if you don't need to. But I'm going to get rid of the Google one, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll get rid of this duplicate one. I don't know what that is, so we'll get rid of that. I think that causes an error on anyway. So we'll get rid of that, and then we'll save that. Where's the save button? There it is. So we'll save that. Did that save? Or is it just running really slowly? Yeah, that's just running really slowly. There we go, done. Happy days. And so that's fine. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, and then we'll clear the delete cache, and then we'll come back here and then do another report. So we have 87 on performance. Don't think it's going to change too much. Generate, and we'll sort that out. So you can reduce the plugins quite a bit. So reduce any third-party scripts, reduce any plugins that you might have, just to help to speed the site up. It's definitely worth doing a cleanup of your plugins every so often. So straight away, look, we can see it's gone straight to 92 just by getting rid of those. So we're at the green already for this. So if we look at what it was before, it was 87. And it just gave us 3 extra points, or 4 extra points, 5 extra points, and got us to the green. So that's got to 1 second. Let's have a look. So that hasn't gone up, but that overall performance has gone up, which is good. Total blocking time has gone up as well. So that's, that to me was worth doing. So it's like I say, it's worth going through all of the different plugins that you've got, making sure that you're only using the ones that you need to use. I'm so guilty of literally installing a plugin and I want to do something. I need to insert a tag. Oh, I know, I'll make sure I've got this plugin so I can add the tag. And sometimes you just don't need that many plugins. Sometimes it's a nice to have, but you don't necessarily need it, especially if you're on a low cost hosting service where you need to kind of optimize it as much as possible. If your site is running slower, then you need to find out where you can make these optimizations. Like I run Elementor on all of my websites, and that no doubt slows the sites down because it's just an added thing. It's a page builder. There's a lot of extra bloat being added to my websites because of Elementor. Now I choose to keep Elementor because it helps with conversions. So in order to offset that, I need to kind of get rid of, I need to save speed in other places. So I need to get rid of some of the beneficial plugins that, are nice to have, but not necessarily need to. So I need to just be a little bit more careful. And that, again, is why I would probably get rid of the Imaginify image optimization plugin and then just optimize them separately like so. And that will just help that out. So you want to get rid of third-party scripts, get rid of unused plugins, optimize your current plugins. I would then recommend implementing lazy loading. So this is just so that it loads the images after they have, after the visitors come on and after they get to it. So it only shows the images once they see it. You can do that with Auto Optimize does it, which is a caching plugin, and WP Rocket does it, which is a caching and it helps with the images as well. So definitely recommend WP Rocket. The first input delay, which you can't see here, which is obviously one of the core web vitals, is just how long it takes for your site to react to them actually doing something. So clicking a button, entering their email. A lot of that is going to be down to your server response time. So if you're on a good server, good host, then that shouldn't necessarily be a problem. If you've done all the optimizations with the plugins and all of that stuff, then again, that shouldn't be a problem as well. So yeah, that's fine. If you're, I'll go back to the server response here. So if this is below 1 second, then you are actually doing really well. So I wouldn't worry, even if this is red here, if this is still 1 second, below 1 second, I wouldn't worry too much about that. If it's a lot higher than 1 second, then that's when you want to start looking at your host. You know, if it's going to be 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, then definitely look at your host, see what PHP version the website's running on, see if you can make improvements to that. So yeah, just speak to the host and see what, you know, what improvements can be done to help. So those are the main things. What I'll do is I've got, like I said, I've got these sites here. So I'll go through what errors they've got and what I would potentially do. Now this is obviously my best one. This has, I'll show you the plugins that I've got set up for it so you can see. So you can see the difference. So what we'll do is we'll remove WP Rocket and just show the difference of that, because I do think that does make quite a big difference on the page speed. And there's certain plugins that I would 100% recommend over other ones. And that's, you know, I've always had good results with that one. So let's hit up plugins. The video I did last week was like a plugin stack, so I expect most of these are going to be on there. There's probably a lot more plugins in here than I actually use. I could do with removing some of these plugins, to be fair. So let's deactivate a couple. Let's deactivate WP Rocket first of all. We'll enable it again in a minute. Hopefully that won't screw me over. Has that done it? Why has that not deactivated it? So it's plugin deactivated, clear cache. Why is that not deactivating? Maybe it doesn't want to. Okay, let's do that. Well, that is silly. It's very odd. Okay, well, we won't do that one then. Because that's not playing ball. I do not know why it's doing that. Once you've got it, you're not getting rid of it. That's weird. I've got rid of it before. Let me try one more time. I would delete that cache, and if I don't do it this time, then I'm not going to bother. Deactivate. So now I've got inactive. So there we go. What a random plugin. So yeah, so that's gone now. So delete cache again just to make sure. And then if we can run this, I'm just going to mute just while I'm running that. Okay. So that has changed. Has that changed the score? Oh, not by much. So the best practice has gone down quite a bit. So now it's just more to do with the images. So it's not massively changed much. I was expecting to change more than that, to be fair. So yeah, there's different things can change it. It's just worth optimizing as much as possible, getting it, you know, spending that time, effort to actually use optimization plugins, optimize your images, and it will improve. So that's not too bad. That's fine. Like I say, it's quite a small website anyway. So let's just put that back on. I have noticed that I've started using Rank Math SEO for the SEO stuff rather than using Yoast SEO. That seems to have helped a little bit with the actual speed and the performance as well. Most plugins don't impact the speed too much, but it's definitely worth just testing them, having different ones on there just to, you know, turn one off, see if it makes a massive difference. If it does, try and find a good alternative. If it doesn't, then keep it on. let's just see what this does. And the annoying thing about checking these reports is that they do change on a daily basis. Like I had one, see that's not changed at all now, whereas when we first started doing it, it was all high. So I've had one that was all green, all looking good, and then literally come to it the day after and it was rubbish. So a lot of the time it depends on what's happening with your host, with your server. If they're doing a any maintenance and stuff, that might obviously impact it. So don't worry too much about chasing the speeds. It's fine. So I might want to just look at best practice again just to see what the issues are. So here we have this. So I just need to update the image. So this is obviously my profile image and logo image. It should be displaying at 64 by 64, but the actual size of it is over 1300 pixels, which is massively different. So if I come to that post, then what I would do is, I know what post is, I know what this is. This is basically the, where are we? This is basically going to be, it's not even there anymore. I've got rid of it. It's going to be, apply those changes. There was a post here which had my profile image on, so it might be a caching issue. And that could be a caching issue because it's not there anymore. I have removed it. So yeah, I think that might be caching. So that's not a problem. So let's go and have a look at some of the other ones. And obviously, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the comments. Like I say, more than happy to help. So a lot of the eliminate render blocking resources, I don't tend to touch these personally because I don't really understand a lot of this stuff. I know that there are options to defer a lot of this down into the footer, but I don't, like I say, I'm not the most technical, so I focus on stuff that I can do. I don't know if there's a way. Let's have a look. DP Rocket settings. I think there might be a setting somewhere in here where you can actually do it. So preloading. Yeah, you can preload your fonts. So as you can see here, you could have, why did I put this one in there? No. So you can preload your fonts. So where are we? This one. Not that one. It is that one. But if we have a font, for example, so I don't think there are any fonts here. But you can just get your fonts. Here we go. Look, so I can just copy all of these and paste them into WP Rocket if I had it on this site, and that will preload all of these fonts, which will then just get rid of this completely, which would save me 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. That would save me around about a second, so 1.2 seconds, which would be good. Roughly, so that will fix that straight away. Got image here. Here it doesn't have explicit width and height, so obviously I'd want to go in and edit the image to make sure it's got the correct width and height, solve that problem. I don't tend to worry too much about these. I'm not really sure what these are for, if I'm completely honest with you. But yeah, if it's something that's like, say minute as this, then I might be tempted to actually just get rid of that icon and just have a standard icon. If that's going to cause me major problems, then I'll do that, but I don't think it will. And this is just to do the caching. So maybe just have another look at the caching just to make sure we've got the caching set up correctly. Now this site doesn't have caching. This site literally just has auto optimize. So let's exit out here, leave. So yeah, this site doesn't have any caching other than auto optimize. So putting in WP Rocket will probably help with that quite a bit. Auto optimize is really good. What we've got here, so let's have a look. So let's plug that one as well. That's fine. It's fine. Let's see what it does. Oh, no, we don't need to worry about that. So you can, yeah. I don't think we need to worry too much about that. Images, that's fine. Here we go with fonts. So let's get rid of for these fonts, remove query themes, and then we'll save that. And then we'll clear the cache. And then we'll just see if that's made any difference at all. So let's just run that report again. And it's good to just make a change, clear the cache, run the report, just so that you can see if it has made any major differences, and then you can kind of just compare on that with other sites if you've got them as well, just to have a look at what's what. So let's just check that. So what was it beforehand? So it's not changed at all. Happy days. That was 0.7. So it's made that a little bit bigger, and I think it's better, and I think it's made this one a little bit better as well. So it has made some improvements. So overall, not too bad. Again, here, HTTPS, so we need to fix that. So not some major issues. In all honesty, I think actually adding in a good caching plugin like WP Rocket, and let's have a look at our quick plugins. Where are the plugins? Let's have a quick look. Get lost. So plugins aren't too bad. I think the plugins are fine. Let's get rid of. Let's just check something. So let's deactivate Yoast. Do a live test. Let's no, we don't want to delete that yet. Actually, we want to add in rank math, and we'll install now. Typical. Right, and we'll skip that for now. I'm not too fussed about doing that just yet. And we'll just do a quick, easy one just for now. So this allows you just to import data from Yoast and whatever rich snippet you got, so you can actually get rid of the rich snippet plugin as well, which is good. So that saves us two plugins. Well, one, because we'll just replace one with another one. And continue, and that's fine. So here we can connect Rank Math to Google Analytics, so we don't need the third-party plugin or anything like that. And then we'll return to dashboard, and then we will delete the cache, and then we will do another quick run here and see if that's made a difference. So that'll just take a minute. And it's like, you know, you're only saving little bits, little amounts, but they do all add up. So they do definitely help. That's gone down, random. Strange. What's it before? So that was 89, 73, 80. So let's Let me run that again because I don't. That's just going to change anyway. But yeah, so the main thing with the Core Web Vitals is going to be improving the speed. So if you can, we'll just run through it. So if you can make sure you're on a good host, get rid of any unused plugins, get rid of any unused scripts, optimize your plugins, make sure you're using a good caching plugin, make sure you're using a good image optimization, and then you will find your largest contentful paint will improve over time. You know, that will get better. First contentful paint is obviously going to be there. Cumulative layout shift is, you know, I don't ever have a problem with that, like I've said. So yeah, those are the main things that you can do, and I don't think you'll have an issue with that. And if you go through some of these, like I've gone through, then you're going to find that you can get these high scores without major problems. We've got good performance here. This is a bigger site, which is interesting, but it's got the large contentful, and I've just been going through it all. So again, we can remove unused JavaScript quite easily. A lot of this is auto optimized. You do see a lot of third-party stuff, which is a lot harder to get rid of. But I haven't really experienced any scripts, any third-party scripts from using plugins like WP Rocket. So I could use that completely instead of using auto optimize and them both. So it's just playing around with that. You know, you can get the free plugins which do the job, but they do tend to cost you a bit more in terms of speed and whatnot. One of the things that I have done with this site, and I think that that's helped, is that I have got rid of this large hero image that was here and just put an image there, and that may have helped that go down. I've also upgraded the PHP on the host of this to version 8, which again might have helped to improve the speed of that. Now, if we look at this site that I've just taken over, so I need to do a lot of work on this site. I've not looked at this site properly yet. Overall, the speeds are really good. You know, we've got good best practice speeds. This looks register unload listener. What this basically is going to be is it's going to be the Facebook events pixel code. So I'm not going to mess about with that because I obviously want that, but it's not been fully set up yet on the Facebook side, so it's not actually being used. So you still want to keep that, obviously. Performance, we can again look at some form of caching plugin. I don't think I've got any caching plugin on here at the moment, to be honest with you. I've not, like I said, I've not had a proper look. So we could just do a minifying stuff, I believe. And then accessibility obviously needs improvements. So we've got issues with the foreground colors again, which that takes very little time to fix. We've got iframes, which look like the videos. So we'll just make sure we've got titles for those. That's fairly easy to fix as well. Forms, they don't have labels on the forms. I'm probably going to get rid of the form anyway, so that'll solve that. And then alt tags. So as I go through the site, I just need to sort out the alt tags. And then again, the headings, it looks like there's a H3 there instead of that should be a H2. And that's easy fix, easy. And then we'll get, that'll be green as well. And then, yeah, a bit of work on the caching side of it, the minification side of it, the image optimization side, because I'm not sure how much these images have been optimized. So with a bit of work on optimizing these images, that should solve that problem. So let's have a quick look in GT metrics. Bosh that in there and see what that comes up with. Another suggestion is to obviously make sure that this site is running with a CDN. So make sure all your images are on a CDN just to speed up people getting access to those files. So Cloudflare is really good. It's they've got the free plan, which is really good. It does the job. If you've got a paid account with like WPX, then they have their own internal one, which is great. So yeah, let's have a look what this does. Like I say, GTmetrix does also give you the lighthouse scores as well. And it is fairly accurate from what I understand, but I would definitely recommend doing it direct through the actual Chrome plugin, because yeah, it just makes sense. So how are we for images? So images are 274 kilobytes. So I definitely think we can improve the images, get them optimized more. There's a lot of JavaScript going on, so I might look into to see where the JavaScript issues are. So this looks like, double click, which looks like an ad. So this is display ads. So I would probably remove that personally myself just to save up that, although it's not using that much. Biggest one is this Facebook signals, so I'd remove that if it's just a sharing plugin where you can click to share. They're not worth anything. I don't know what these are. It looks like the image, where the images are stored. So yeah, I'd look at that, see how we can actually improve on that and serve them better. Again, might be just a CDN, stick a CDN on there. But I do think, yeah, images could do with getting improved on. So that's it really. That's it in a nutshell. Obviously, if you didn't understand any elements of that, if there's something you want me to explain further, then please do put that in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer anything. The first step is to obviously definitely just go through the report and see what you can do to make changes, and that'll work. And at the start of the video, at the start of the training, I did say, if you're stuck to the end, I'll give a offer. And that is basically if you email me your website URL, and I will literally run through the report and give you actions to take away to improve your scores. And I'll literally just do it step by step, either through text or video, whatever you find easier. And it'll just be for obviously your eyes only. So if you want your site to have me do a site review of it, a speed review, and do all this lighthouse stuff and send you the results, then just drop me an email. Send me your URL, and yeah, I'll just go through it and give you some suggestions. So let's close that, and yeah, I'll be more than happy to run the report and see what we can do to improve your core web vitals. Nearly missed my mouth then. Cool. So yeah, any questions? I'll put that email back on here, time being. Put that on there. And yeah, more than happy to answer any questions if there are any. If not, do not worry. Feel free, if you think of any questions afterwards, drop me an email as well, or just put it in the comments and I'll get through to them after the recording. There's obviously quite a lot to get through, and like I say, I'm not the most technical person in the world, and the speed side of stuff is something that I've started looking into a little bit more now. I've not really, it's all still quite new to myself as well. So I've been testing a lot of things, making a lot of changes, going through them as much as possible myself. And yeah, this is really just me passing on what I've seen helped and what I've seen hasn't helped. So hopefully it does help you guys. So it doesn't look like we've got any questions, so I'll end it now. It's been a good long one. Next week, we're going to have the training again on Monday, 2 p.m. British Standard Time, same time. And that's going to be about copywriting and just some top tips on how you can improve your copy to improve your click-through rates and your conversions. And I think copywriting is something that a lot of people don't tend to think about much. They write the content, they get it going, but just making a few little copywriting tweaks can really, really dramatically improve your conversions, and also increase the amount of time that people get onto your site and stay on there and don't go back to SERPs. So definitely worth working that out. So yeah, feel free, like I said, drop me an email with your URL and I'll send you a personalized report on how to improve your core web vitals and your speed. So until then, have a great week and I will see you again.